Hey there, guys. Good morning or good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are doing well. All right, we're starting just a few minutes early. I wanted to give people a few minutes to join in. Make sure my microphone's on. Microphone is on. All right. How we doing? So today we're talking about something really fun. We're talking about minimalism for anxiety. So this is a topic, I have to be honest with you, this is not where I thought the podcast was going to go. When I first had the idea of doing a show all about minimalism and anxiety, this is not where I thought we would end up, but I think it's so fun. Um, what we're going to talk about today is 3 minimalist mindset practices because I started really looking at researching minimalism and how the practices of decluttering and there's a lot about organizing and just understanding what stuff you have. Do you use it? Do you love it? Is it necessary? All that good stuff. And I started thinking about how this pertains to our minds and the clutter that's in our minds. And so it it kind of transformed from what I thought it was going to be about, which was more about minimalism and stuff, physical space, and it went more into the mental space, the mental and emotional space of our lives. So, anyway, it's going to be kind of fun to talk about. While we're waiting for some people to join, I mentioned in the podcast, and I'm going to start doing this a little bit more, some stuff or some books. I'm sorry, some books that I've been reading that I've been loving, and I wanted to share these with you today because I mentioned them in the podcast, and it's just kind of fun to talk about books. We talk about books on social media all the time, and you guys love talking about books. So let's talk about books here too. So I mentioned The Gifted School by Bruce Holsinger. This is amazing. This is a beautifully written novel about 4 different families, and they all have kids that are tweenish aged, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And they're trying to get into a school for exceptionally gifted kids. And, all the breakdown and the drama with the families and between the friendships with the kids and stuff. Anyway, it was really good. And I think as parents, it's important for us to revisit things like this, even in the form of a novel, and just remind ourselves that our kids don't have to they don't have to take every single opportunity that comes their way. They don't have to do every single sport or every single activity or every single hobby or club or event. It's okay for them to just be kids and for them to enjoy their lives. So anyway, The Gifted School by Bruce Holsinger. Totally recommend this. It was awesome. Ruth Ware. Do you guys all love Ruth Ware as much as I do? So good. The Turn of the Key, equally thrilling and entertaining as always. And then the other one that I mentioned was Catherine Center, Things You Save in a Fire. The main character in this book is a female firefighter, and she has some family stuff going on and some relationship stuff. And anyway, I just, at the time that I read that, which was a couple weeks ago, something like that, I just needed like something light and kind of fun. So anyway, it was a really sweet novel. I liked it. I will read more of Catherine Center. I think she's got, I don't know, a handful of books. I can't find it here. Anyway, yeah, it looks like she's got like 6 or 7. Anyway, so let's get into today's topic. We're talking about minimalism for anxiety. So, like I said, I thought this was going to go towards minimalism like in our physical spaces, cleaning up our houses, our offices, our cars, and the effect that that would have on us emotionally and mentally. And I think that's a topic we will revisit down the road because I think it's worth discussing. But where I landed for today's episode is clearing up the clutter in our minds. And I settled on 3 minimalist mindset practices that I share in the episode we're going to talk about here to help. I mean, we're here talking about anxiety, being stressed out, being worried, being overwhelmed, being anxious. And so much of that stuff is just clutter that's like running in the background of our minds. So I thought it would be interesting to start out the conversation around minimalism and anxiety by talking about these 3 mindset practices and clearing out the mind clutter first, and then we will get to the physical clutter in our physical spaces down the road. So, the first minimalist mindset practice that I talk about in this week's podcast is busyness. We love to be busy. Our society loves the idea of busy. We glorify the idea of being busy. How are you? I'm busy, right? This is how we talk about our time. This is how we talk about our families. Everybody's good. We're just busy, right? Surviving. We're just busy. Um, it's how we talk about our lives, that we are busy, right? So I want to look at busyness for a second and really consider, is this serving us, right? Does busyness make you more anxious? Does the idea of being busy create anxiety and trigger you into anxiety? So, talking about being busy, that's an action that we take, right? When we're talking about being busy, when we're being busy, when we're filling our plate with all sorts of stuff for us to do, those are all actions that we're taking. So, those actions are fueled by emotions and feelings that create busyness, right? Busyness doesn't happen on accident. That's an action we take, it's a choice we make, and it's fueled by certain feelings. Now, I'm just going to assume that for a lot of us here, those emotions look like anxiety, they look like stress, they look like overwhelm. They also may look like things kind of in the ballpark of obligation, right? Being guilted into things, doing things at the school, doing things for your family, doing things at work that you feel obligated to get done, right? Um, so we've got these actions that we're taking, we're filling our plate, we're making choices that create a very busy schedule. We're feeling busy feelings, which could look like a variety of things depending on the circumstances. But if we backtrack this, we always come back to every single time, right? It starts with a busy mindset. It starts with thinking busy thoughts. It starts with some, maybe not obsession, but like an okayness around busy. Like, I have to be busy to prove myself, right? I have to be busy to be worthy of this paycheck, right? Being busy means that there's so many different things that we could think about being busy, but it all starts with a thought about being busy that creates feelings, maybe anxiety, maybe chaos, maybe overwhelm, maybe confusion, maybe obligation or guilt. And those feelings drive the action of creating a really busy life, right? We fill our plate, we say yes to all the things, all that kind of good stuff. Then the result is we're busy. We have zero downtime. We have zero me time. We have zero room for anything to go wrong or any mistakes or any being late or whatever. We're busy, right? So for the next 7 days, if you are up for the challenge, I think it would be very interesting and eye-opening for all of us to strike the word busy from our vocabulary. If somebody asks you how you're doing, pick something else. You're not busy. Okay? If somebody makes a request of you and you either do want to do it or you don't want to do it and you're going to respond to the request, it can't be about being busy. Okay? When you're talking with your friends and you guys are all chit-chatting about what's going on and what the latest is or whatever, you're not busy. So just see what happens when you take the word busy out of your vocabulary, when you have to choose something else. And notice, here's the reason that this is the challenge, right? Notice what comes up for you because you're going to feel like that's the crutch. Oh, well, that's just the excuse that I give. This is why I can't go to this. This is why I can't volunteer. This is why I can't be at the party. I'm too busy. Find what's really going on, right? Find if you just don't want to bake the cupcakes for the PTA thing. Find if you just don't want to go to the party. You don't want to hang out with the family. Find what's really going on and at least with yourself, be honest, right? You don't have to like take the filter all the way off and tell everybody every thought and feeling that you're having, but check in and just see, where am I using busy as an excuse to get out of things with myself and with other people? So that will be an eye-opening exercise for the next 7 days. No busy. All right, so that is minimalism mindset. Number 1 is eradicating busy from your life. Just try it for a week, see how it goes. All right, minimalist mindset number 2 is constraint. This is one I don't think we talk about a whole lot. The idea of constraint. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. From my real life, something that I do is I only buy food from 2 places. I go to Costco and I go to the local grocery store that is 1 mile from my house. So if somebody, and I have a lot of really foodie friends that are like, oh, this store across town has a great sale on this bar or this protein powder, or this store now carries this fantastic product. I'm not entertaining any of it. I'm not going to run around town spending my resources, and I think of our resources as being time, energy, and money. We're going to talk about that more in just a second. Not going to run around town doing all the things. And get this, I don't even go to the farmer's market. What? We have a great farmer's market here in town. I don't go. In this season of my life, how my life is right now, I have stuff from 2 spots. That's it. So that's one idea where constraint is concerned. With your kids, right? How many of us are running around to like 7 activities, right? Constrain them to 1 activity, or at least mentally, just go there and see what it would look like, right? We have this idea that everybody has to be well-rounded, but really let's think about that. Who wants to be mediocre at a whole bunch of stuff? Wouldn't you rather be amazing at a thing or 2? So constraint, we're constraining down. And the reason that constraint is so important, and the reason this is minimalist mindset number 2 to practice this week and beyond, is because this clears out so much clutter, so much chaos of how we're spending our resources. So I touched on this, the resources being time, energy, and money. But the most important resource that we have that drives all of this is the space in our minds, what we're thinking about, how we're thinking about things, the emotions that we're creating, okay? So if you run all over town all the time, if you like, there's just stuff happening all the time, you're not constrained to anything, you don't do this one thing, right? Here's another idea. I don't know why all of this is about food. Another thing that I do that's practicing constraint is, so I practice intermittent fasting. I eat all of my food within like a 5-hour window. And every day, what I break my fast with is a smoothie. Every day. I know exactly what goes in it. I've got it handy. I don't think about it. I don't wonder what am I going to have. That's just what happens. I'm constrained. There's not all of this drama. There's not all of this like, I'm going to stand in front of the fridge and wonder. No, I'm not going to use any brain space on that. Okay, here's not a food example. What about Steve Jobs and his uniform? Black turtleneck, blue jeans, New Balance sneakers. Perfect example of constraint. He made that one decision, one time, and he just stuck with it. That guy never wondered about what he was going to wear, what he was going to show up in, right? He freed up so much of his resources, his time, his energy, his money, and most importantly, his brain space, all the space in his head, right? That was going to take up, like, am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to spend 15 minutes in the closet this morning wondering what I'm going to wear. It's another perfect example of constraint. So constraint is a minimalist mindset practice because it forces us to narrow things down to what's vital, what is essential for our lives. And then to practice just that. We cut out all the drama. We cut out all the running around town. We cut out all the wondering what's going to happen. And we constrain down to what is essential for us to live our best lives. So this is a practice you could apply to exercise, to food, to what you're wearing, to your home, all sorts of stuff, right? So mindfulness. Minimalist mindset number 1, busyness. We're going to strike busy from our conversations, from our vocabulary. Minimalist mindset number 2, constraint. Okay, minimalist mindset number 3, this is also really important, is allowing other people to be who they are. This is tricky, right? We tend to take up a whole bunch of space in our minds, worrying about, complaining about, wondering about, again, thinking about, what is this person going to do? What is my boss going to do? What are my kids going to do? What is my partner going to do? We wonder about it, we worry about it, we grumble about it if they're not doing the things that we think they should be doing, right? Well, if you had just done it this way, it would be so much easier for you, right? It's always for them. We always know what's best for them, right? But if we truly allow other people to be who they are, meaning everybody gets their own models, everybody gets their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own actions, and their own results, including the kids. That's a big one, parents, right? We let other people have their models. We stay in our models. We take responsibility. We take control over our own thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, and we let other people have theirs. Now, I know we're in relationship with people, right? Other people affect us. All of us are living life together. I get it. But find where you're really trying to convince somebody to do something, or you're trying to kind of manipulate them and change them to be a certain way. If my husband would just do this, my life would be so much easier. What if you just let your husband be exactly who he is, right? Maybe he's kind of messy, right? Maybe he doesn't pay the bills on time. Be fascinated about who people are and let them be who they are. If there's something you want done, do it. That's in your model. You want a result in your life? Take the action to create it. You want the house picked up? Clean it up. You want the bills paid? Pay them, right? You don't need to convince him to do that so that you can feel better. So this practice is all about decluttering our mind around other people, letting other people have their models, their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, and results, and you keeping your eyes on your own paper, because we all have plenty of work to do, let's be honest, right? We've all got plenty to keep us busy in our own models. So you pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, and let other people have theirs. And like I said, this includes the kids, right? We get really caught up in, I don't know how many friends I have that have high school aged kids, and we get very nervous about high school grades because now they count. Now they matter. And so many of my friends are trying to control their teenagers and make sure that their teenagers get good grades. The parents are the ones getting the good grades. They're the ones doing the work. They're the ones running around like crazy. They are cluttering up their minds with somebody else's actions. It doesn't make any sense, right? The result that everybody's getting in that, it's like nobody's actually showing up. The kid isn't showing up and actually doing the work. The kid is not taking the action. So the kid doesn't really get the result of learning, which is the point of school. Straight A's are not the point. Education is, just in case we forget, right? And the adult, the parent, the caregiver, gets the result of like chaos and exhaustion and anxiety and stress, right? They're not getting the result they want either. It never works. So just think of being in somebody else's business is like going to the store and filling your house with all of the furniture and food and toys and whatever that this other person needs in your house, right? It doesn't make any sense. We have to let other people take care of their physical spaces, just like they're taking care of their mental spaces. We're going to take care of our mental and emotional space. So 3 minimalist mindset practices for this week. No more being busy. The next 7 days, you don't get to say you're busy. Just see what comes up. It's going to be pretty interesting. Number 2, practice constraint. See where you're adding to your life that you could cut down to what's essential so that you're not cluttering your mind and taking away from your other resources with things that are unnecessary. Right? And minimalist mindset number 3 is allowing other people to be who they are, including the kids. Okay. All right. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, we're going to talk about being certain in the uncertainty, right? There's so much in life that is uncertain, and we're going to talk about how we can bring that inside and create certainty in the uncertainty. So we will do that next week. One more note, I want to make sure you know I am doing a Freedom from Anxiety webinar live next Wednesday. It's September 18th at 11:30 a.m. Central. So I want to be sure that you know about that. I will be sending out a replay. So if you can't make it live, no big deal, but you have to be registered in order to get the replay. You have to be on the list. So make sure that you're registered for that. You can find it in the show notes for this podcast episode, kellyhanlonmccormick.com. /podcast/32. There's also an announcement bar on the top of the website. You can click there and get registered. So be sure you get on the list for that. I will send out the replay and a whole bunch of goodies to you. And while we're on the topic of the website, I want to tell you, I also made a guide for you that goes along with this week's episode. So if you are interested in the guide, grab that at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/podcast/32, because this is the 32nd episode, if you can believe that. So that's all I've got. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I will see you at the same time, same place next week. Until then, guys, take care.